Hello and welcome. This will be my first video on the channel. We'll be covering everything Crypto Raiders. For those that don't know what it is or have never gotten into NFT games, we'll be starting this video off as a bit of an intro. For those who have been returning or anybody who wants to get started on this, there will be a giveaway in this video for a character. There will be details in the description on how to enter that giveaway. I will also talk about it at the end of the video, so stick around for that. But to get started, the first thing you're going to want to do is head on over to cryptoraiders.xyz and you'll get to this landing page. This is their new updated website. It's a lot nicer than it was before. Everybody that has been hanging out in Discord has been loving this change that they made. And it just generally looks a lot cleaner. There's going to be guides, and you can get a lot of information, like events that are going on. Right now there's a Halloween event going on. Eventually there will be guides. I don't know who's working on it, but there are people working on making guides for the game to help get people started. Obviously they're working on lore as they go. But once you're here, you can click on over to play game. And I'm already signed in, but you'll need to sign in with your MetaMask. If you need more characters or don't have any yet, you can just click here and it'll take you right on over to OpenSea and the OpenSea collection. Right now the floor is 0.037 ETH, which is about $157 USD. So it's a lot cheaper than it was. Not as cheap as they're hoping to get it in the future. I think the goal is to get it below $100 at some point. We'll see what happens as more people start finding the game. But I will be giving away a character that'll be around worth about floor price. So if you're looking to get in on that and you're looking to start playing the game, that'll be a good place to start. Once you have a character, you'll be able to raid, and we'll be going over basically what all I've got, what we'll be using to make videos with. I've got on this account, which is my personal account, I have 20 characters, and they're all at various levels. I got one Gen 1, some Gen 2s. You'll have, when you first start, especially if you're buying one off the floor, you're probably going to have a Gen 3 that is going to be level 1 most likely. It might have a little bit of experience, might have a little bit of items, but once you click on here, you can see the appearance. You can change some things around as you wish. You can change the name to whatever you like it to be. In your inventory, you'll have any items that you have, and you can distribute stat points. We'll be testing out, in the next video, we'll be testing out some builds and seeing what works now. For this one, we'll just be going over everything that we've got. We'll try out, so when you first start out, there are a couple of different ways you can go with looking to start raiding. The first method that some people like to use is they like to go straight into either Heroic Hogger or Heroic Don't Fear the Reaper. Either one works. They do the exact same thing. Reaper, I think, is slightly faster because you start closer to the boss. So it's probably better while the Halloween event lasts, but if you're watching this a bit later, this event will be gone. These dungeons won't exist anymore, and you'll have to do Heroic Hogger. But basically all you do in that method is you click raid and you'll run into Heroic Hogger. You'll die fighting the boss, but since you cannot die permanently in Hogger's Revenge, you don't have to worry about losing the character forever or anything like that. If you're watching this later, keep up to date. Go over to the Discord, which you can find linked on their website right here. Head on over to the Discord and ask about permadeath if you're watching this much later, and make sure that you're not going to lose a character. But you can intentionally lose at level 1 to Heroic Hogger, and you'll get 333.3 experience every time for losing, and that is the fastest way to gain experience. Personally, I do not like that method and will not be using that method to level up my Gen 3s, but that is one way to go. I will intentionally die a couple of times, but the first thing I'm going to do is enter a character into Memento Mori one time, and we'll get over to the game. Now, Memento Mori and Glimmer of Hope have no enemies, so it's just watching your character walk around aimlessly until they find the end of the dungeon. It's not the greatest way. I wish they had shortened Memento Mori, especially because it is a bit of a lengthy walk-around dungeon, but it kind of shows the idea of the game, and these were the initial dungeons before they were able to create enemies to fight. So we'll wait for this character to go around, and Memento Mori will give us a random armor piece, which will be a hunter's robe, I think it's called, the hunter's something. Hunter's garb, that's what it is. Green or red hunter's garb, or I think there's a very small chance to get a jeweled hunter's garb, which is much nicer. I don't know what the odds are on these anymore. I don't know if they've been changed. I believe the jeweled garb was initially around a 1% drop rate. Something like that anyway. So we'll see what we get here. And this will give us our first piece of armor. And we get a red hunter's garb and 100 experience. And this is why some people like to do the die to Hogger method, because you get 333 instead of 100. But you just close out that tab once you have your drop, refresh the page, and you can scroll back down to your character. If you only have one, it'll be right there. Go to the inventory, and we got a 3-3 red hunter's garb. The minimum roll on the red hunter's garb is 1-1 for strength and intelligence, and the maximum is 5-5, so right perfectly in the middle. It's a nice starter piece of equipment. So regardless of what you get, it doesn't really matter with this for this strategy for leveling up. So whatever you get, you're only going to do Memento Mori one time. So even if it's a 1-1, that's fine. So the next thing you're going to do is go into Glimmer of Hope, and we're going to run Glimmer of Hope one time to get us a starter weapon. Hopefully we'll get something that isn't a 1-1-1 starter weapon with terrible shabby, but whatever you get, it will work. Hopefully. Maybe if you roll a 1-1-1, you might want to do a second Glimmer of Hope, but hopefully we're only going to do one. And that will get us enough stats to for this strategy of leveling, which I think this is what most people are doing. This is nothing ground shaking, nothing revolutionary. This is just kind of the normal way to level up a new character. So we'll close that out, refresh, and see what we got. And we got 200 experience from Glimmer of Hope. So we got a shabby staff, and this is a rather good shabby staff. The best you can get is 5 intelligence, 5 wisdom, 5 luck on a shabby weapon, or 5 of whatever stats that weapon happens to roll, and the worst you can do, I believe, is 1-1-1. So 3-5-5 is very good, a very high roll, and since we got a staff, it is intelligence and wisdom. We will be going intelligence on this character initially, once we have stat points. So this will depend on what you get. If you get a weapon that primarily has strength as the highest, you'll go for a strength build to start. If it has intelligence, you'll go for an intelligence build to start. Currently, there's no way to pay to reset your character's stats, so you're kind of, the downside of this strategy is you're kind of locking yourself in to going intelligence or strength very early on, which isn't ideal because you don't know what you'll get from later dungeons as drops. But soon, hopefully within the next week or two, there should be paid Aurum resets that will allow you to reset your stats for a certain amount of Aurum, which is the in-game currency. And that will let you change up your build later on. So I don't think it's a big deal to lock yourself in to a build right now early on. So once we have those two items, we are going to switch over to dying to Heroic. And I'll just do Heroic Hogger since the Halloween dungeon won't be around for long anyway. And we're just going to run in and die to Heroic Hogger a couple of times to get ourselves up to level 2. And we'll go ahead and watch this first one, and then I will cut away and come back when there is something a bit more interesting to talk about than running through this dungeon and dying. So, but yeah, right now there's no downside to dying, so you get the 333 experience for losing to Heroic Hoggers. That's why we do this temporarily. Now, on the other method, you would have to do this without gear all the way to level 3 to be able to guarantee that you can clear normal Hogger. With this, we're only going to level 2. So that's why we did Memento Mori and Glimmer of Hope once each. So that way we can clear normal guaranteed at level 2. Or near guaranteed. Technically, you could lose. Also, worth noting here, we have completed our 3 runs, so if you're playing completely for free, this is where you'll have to wait till reset. Resets are at midnight Central Standard Time on Wednesdays. So Tuesday night going into Wednesday. is when you will see it reset to 3 runs again. But you can also opt to, and I'm on the wrong wallet, but once I switch over, I'll have my Aurum balance there. I can pay 100 Aurum, which is about $2, $3 worth of Aurum, and reset my dungeon runs for paid, and get to do some more runs this week. Now, there is, to keep this from being ridiculously pay to win, there is an experience cap. The current experience cap, I believe, is 12,390, I want to say, something like that. None of my characters are at it yet. I will be getting them up to experience cap. I can pop over to Discord, and I think I wrote it down somewhere. Yeah, 12,930 experience is the current cap. So hopefully I refresh here, and that transaction should have completed by now. And yeah, I have 3 dungeon runs again, and you can go back into Heroic Hogger 2 more times to get my level 2. Alright, and as you can see, we have our character, the Failure. And the reason I named this the Failure is because you can recruit with all of your characters right now. There's a recruiting event going on. You cannot recruit with Gen 3s, only with Gen 1 and 2. But I recruited with one of my White Elves and got a John. On average, you should be getting the same, so you should have gotten a White Elf, which is a little bit rarer. But that's the only downgrade I got with all of my recruits, so not a big deal. I'm fairly happy with it. But I went ahead and named him the Failure because he failed to be a White Elf and instead is a human. So that's kind of why he's named that. But he is level 2 now. We have our gear, and we are going intelligence. As I said earlier, if this has been a strength weapon, we'd go strength. Since it's an intelligence weapon, we will go intelligence. If it's an agility weapon, you may end up deciding to do 1 extra glimmer of hope to get a better weapon. That is one thing. And if you get a really low roll, like 111 on a shabby weapon, you may want to do a 2nd glimmer of hope. But we have our 7 points of intelligence, so now we have 13 total, and we've got some wisdom, which is quite good. And when you hover over these, you can see what they do. Obviously, the more plus signs, the more it affects that stat. So generally you want, early on especially, either strength or intelligence, as much as possible to have more health so you don't die super easily. Wisdom is also somewhat important to have, but not worth putting points in super early, in my opinion. At least not right now. Stats are changing relatively quickly. We're getting a lot of updates on that front, so. But we'll talk about that in future videos as those changes happen. So now that we're level 2, we can change up and start going for Hogger's Revenge, the normal version, which is recommended level 3 to 4. And if we didn't do Memento Mori and Glimmer of Hope, we would have to go all the way to level 3 to be able to reliably clear this dungeon. But since we did stop off and do a Memento Mori and a Glimmer of Hope, we can now do Hogger's Revenge somewhat safely. Probably a 95-ish% win rate, which I think makes it worth it. You're able to do this over and over again as you're leveling up your character until you get it up there to where you can do more difficult dungeons, and you'll actually be getting items that you could be using. And there's that, of course, slight 1 in 1,000 chance that we get a Blade of the Beast, which is the current best item in the game. So that would be nice to see. But this fight is not completely guaranteed, so we'll go ahead and watch it. But we are hitting pretty nice. We did get a pretty high roll on that shabby weapon, and we got a decent roll for the Hunter's Garb, so this should be fairly straightforward and easy. And since I've already done the 100 Aurum reset on this character, I will just leave it here for the week, and then on Wednesday, and we got a Wizard's Manual, which is uncommon. Unfortunately not a great drop despite it being uncommon. We'll take a look at it and see how good the stats are on it, but I would expect, right here. It's 633, yeah. We're just going to stick with our Intelligence Wisdom weapon over this. The manuals are not very good in my opinion right now. I have heard they are talking about they might eventually be an offhand weapon. If they do become that, they will be very good. but right now as a main hand weapon, they are not very good because they have Wisdom, Charm, Luck, which are all secondary stats, and you really want to have on the weapon um, Intelligence, Strength, or Agility, depending on which build you're going, because there are limited. You're fairly limited on where you can get those stats from, and getting a bunch of Wisdom, Charm, and Luck on this, and then getting, once you get the better gear, it's got a lot of, you'll end up with Wisdom, Charm, and Luck on that as well, and very little in the way of your main stat. So having some of your main stat on your weapon really helps out. But that's that character done for the week. I'm not going to pay the 200 Aurum on these because this Aurum reset does double every time you buy it on that character. So I will be leaving it at the 100 spent per character. And that's generally what I recommend. The 100 is definitely worth it. The 200, if you don't have a lot of characters, is worth it for sure as well. If you are running with quite a few characters, then the 200 is probably not worth it. Then after that, it goes to 400 and 800 and 1600, and those I don't think are worth spending on unless you're really trying to push to get to a higher level, or if you only have one character, maybe it's worth going for the 400. It's tough to say, but this is the main wallet. Now we're going to switch over. We're going to switch wallets and sign out, and I also have a guild wallet, which will be used, and I'll talk about it more in the future on this channel. But we will be forming a guild, which will be eventually sort of like Axie's scholarships, which will let other people play with your characters and earn with your characters. So we have 111 raiders here, and we've got all of our recruiters lined up, which will be the characters I'll use to recruit when a Gen 4 event comes around to keep building this wallet, getting it ready for when guilds come out, probably at the beginning of next year, if I had to guess. I'm only going off of speculation and what I've heard in Discord, so nothing official, but I would guess sometime early next year, sometime during Q1 next year, for guilds to come out. And that'll be huge, and we can get people in here from the channel playing these characters and enjoying the game completely for free to them, and that'll be great. Giveaway. One of these characters is what we will be giving away. Let's see. I have it in level, so we'll go by name. And Hellsgate giveaway 001. Since it had 200 experience, it was way up in the level, so that's why I couldn't find it. This is the character we'll be giving away. It has 200 experience. I'm guessing, yeah, it has a shabby flail, which is a agility weapon, so maybe you'll want to do another Glimmer of Hope to get an intelligence or strength weapon. You could try to go agility with it, but that is what it's rocking with right now. We will be giving this character away. In order to be entered into the giveaway, you will have to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below with your Discord handle. So your Discord name, just go down to Discord and just click to copy your username and paste that in the comment. Once I select a winner for this giveaway at random, which I will do on probably Tuesday, so that'll give 2 days for people to enter. On Tuesday, I will contact you if you won through your Discord. I'll just send you a message, so make sure you have private messages enabled, or if you don't, I will send you a friend request. So make sure you are make sure you accept a friend request from HellV if you enter this giveaway, because you will be getting notified that you got a character for free. And I'll just message you, and you can send me over your wallet address, and I will send the character right on over to you. Hellsgate Giveaway 001, you'll be able to change the name to whatever you want and start playing the game with it. So, that is all for this video. Thank you for watching.